Just 3 days after North Korea started reinstalling propaganda loudspeakers along the border, the regime appears to be removing them again. According to a state media report, Kim Jong-un has canceled what had been announced as military action against South Korea.
North Korea was observed Wednesday removing around 10 propaganda loudspeakers it had installed at the border near the Peace Observatory in Gangwon-do province. According to a South Korean military source, the North had only started reinstalling the loudspeakers on Sunday, 30 of them in total. The speakers are used to blast out anti-South Korea propaganda. The two Koreas had removed all of their speakers after they agreed through the Panmunjom Declaration in 2018 that they would stop all hostile actions, which included anti-state broadcasts and the dropping of propaganda leaflets.
A powerful earthquake has hit southern Mexico's Pacific coast, killing several people with more wounded. The fatalities were near the quake's epicenter in Oaxaca, where some 200 houses were left scarred by huge cracks across walls, some with severe damage. The magnitude 7.4 quake even caused damage to buildings hundreds of miles away in Mexico City. The memory in Mexico City is still strong of the 2017 quake that killed hundreds. Rockfalls blocked winding mountain roads between the state capital of Oaxaca and the coast, and rescue workers battled for hours to reach the settlement near the epicenter, where officials say the quake brought down homes as well as parts of the mountainside.
Cases of COVID-19 are on the rise among young people in many places where restrictions are being lifted. And now Ontario is reporting its first death of a child with COVID-19. The exact age of the child has not been released. It was a female under the age of 20. Public health officials say she had underlying health conditions and tested positive for COVID-19, though that has not been declared as the cause of death.
The World Health Organization has issued a stark warning, saying the world has entered a dangerous phase of the COVID-19 pandemic. Worldwide, almost 9 million people have tested positive, and the death toll now stands at nearly 500,000. European countries, which once had the bulk of infections, appear to be over the worst, with the number of confirmed cases and deaths falling in the UK, Italy, Spain, and France. Most of the new cases are now in the Americas, with widespread outbreaks in the US, Brazil, Peru, and Chile. In Brazil, President Jair Bolsonaro continues to downplay the crisis, accusing health officials of trying to undermine his leadership. And in the US, President Donald Trump says increased testing is making the country look bad.
India is pitted against two closely aligned nuclear neighbors, China, a compulsive bully, and Pakistan, a perpetual nuisance. So what is India doing? Taking the bully head-on at the border and downgrading ties with the nuisance. India has asked Pakistan to reduce the staff strength of its High Commission to half. Islamabad has been instructed to reduce its diplomatic presence in India by 50%, and India has given Pakistan a week to do this. Pakistan's Charge d'Affaires Syed Haider Shah was summoned to the External Affairs Ministry and informed about the decision. In return, India says it will reduce its own diplomatic presence in Pakistan by the same number. Right now, both sides have 110 members each.
The call is for, as you said, commensurate measures if there is an annexation of the West Bank. Now, what that would mean and what that would be calling on governments to do, what those measures would be, we don't know. That isn't in the letter. As far as who signed it, most of the, if you sort of scan the list of the 1,080 members of parliaments from 25 different European countries, they're mainly from the sort of socialist, liberal, green and leftist parties of Europe. and they're putting pressure on European and their own national governments to try to force the hand of the Israelis and try and call and use all the diplomatic might to prevent them from the annexation, from annexing any of the land in the West Bank.
If they can't sleep, then neither will the mayor. This was the wild scene in New York City as a caravan of vehicles drove past Gracie Mansion, the official residence of New York's mayor, Bill de Blasio. They were furious over the ongoing problem of illegal fireworks plaguing New York and cities across America, keeping people up like it was the 4th of July every night. It's pitting neighbor against neighbor.
I'm not scared of cops. I'm not scared of people like you at all. Fine. Just enjoy the fireworks.
It's not just annoying. Fireworks in the wrong hands can be dangerous. Police are looking for the men who threw a powerful firework at a sleeping homeless man. The man suffered burns and had to be hospitalized.
The Lufthansa bailout saga continues to roll on like a 747 passing right over your head. No agreement so far on the job cut package that's been put on the table for the German flag-carrying airline. Thursday is the crunch date. That's when shareholders will be voting on whether to accept the German state taking a 20% share of Lufthansa in exchange for around 9 billion euros, just around $10 billion of much needed cash for Lufthansa. Talks on redundancy packages were ongoing with the pilots union and the union that represents cabin crew with the airline. No agreement has been reached so far. We understand those talks will continue right up until that vote takes place on Thursday if there's no agreement before then.
Ivorian authorities on Monday announced the capture of a jihadist leader who led a deadly attack on a military post at Kafolo on the northeastern border with Burkina Faso on June 11, following a large-scale raid. According to Defense Minister Ahmed Bakayoko, the raid resulted in the arrest of people directly involved in the attack. We traced it back to the commander in Mali who was arrested. And I can tell you that the head of the commando who led the action was taken yesterday. And with our investigations, we will go further. We will establish who he was in contact with.
Gle sad, slušaj sad.
In the face of a global health crisis, here's what Novak Djokovic thought the world needed. A series of tennis tournaments with crowds hugging and no social distancing. The Adria Tour was scheduled to crisscross the Balkans. After the event in Belgrade, the players went to a nightclub to celebrate, sing and have fun. Now all this has been cancelled after Djokovic became the fourth player involved in the tour to test positive for coronavirus. His wife along with another player's wife and 2 members of the support staff, have also contracted the disease. Djokovic is now in isolation in Serbia. In a statement, he said, "I am extremely sorry for each individual case of infection. I hope that it will not complicate anyone's health situation and that everyone will be fine."